We all go a little mad sometimes.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
They're here.
Hello there.
I'm Lee, and I want to be in this sequel.
And I'm Nathan, and I'm just really disappointed about this sequel.
Grow up! And you're listening to
They're Here.
Podcast.
A discussion.
A disembowelment. We're
What
gonna
is that?
have to decide because it has switched up since episode 1. It started off with 3 Ds, and now it's 1 and 2 like interchangeable Ds.
Discussion.
Dissection.
A delicate handling.
And delicatessen. Disembowelment is too like what does RuPaul say? Like, it's too much work for the mouth to go around.
Oh God. For some of us, I suppose. When the mouth, what is it that she says in
for some of us, what is it?
Hell?
What is it? Yeah.
She says the sounds abound when the mouth is round.
Oh yeah. Oh, that poor girl trying to lose her southern accent.
Oh God, she's forever.
But I also love that, like,
Fuck.
she in that movie
She's the Dairy Queen.
she has to sound like she doesn't have an accent, so she has to put on the very Vegas southern accent. I actually love that movie. That movie is camp incarnate. Like, it's so good.
If you want us to retrospect that, let us know.
It really is Evil Dead 5, if you think about it.
Yeah, I would. In a sense, I would agree with that.
Like, it's
I
the
mean,
most
it is
Raimi-
quintessential Raimi.
Yeah, it's the most Raimi movie.
And also, it was a
post.
return from, like, I think it was Spider-Man or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say he had done the 3 Spider-Man movies, which aren't not really Raimi at all, but like,
Oh, God,
I
no.
didn't expect them to be.
Hell
Actually,
no.
I lied. The Doctor Octopus scene in
Oh, that was
in 2
very
was so
Raimi.
good.
Yeah, that one
the
where he's on the
nurse,
table.
and she like grabs and then he like the hands, like the arms like reach up and he like shrieks, whatever.
Oh yeah.
So Halloween Kills.
Okay, so let me just
It really does.
clear the air about this first. This is not a retrospective, so just like we did with, what did we review?
With the Candyman.
Candyman.
Yeah, this is the weekend of release.
This is the weekend of release. Spoilers are abound. We are chatting about shit, so if you haven't turn this shit off, go see the movie, or watch it on HBO Max.
Peacock.
Oh, Peacock.
Yeah.
Gotcha, Peacock. Yeah.
Which I actually kind of forgot was kind of a cool connection because, like, what is it? It's like Paramount or whatever like that. That's where Halloween was originally shown on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like that little kind of connection. I thought it was like kind of cool and retro. And I've seen
You're
a lot
just
of
gonna
like.
nerd out on this the whole time.
I know, I
aren't you?
really am. This to me was like everything I wanted and liked about a Halloween movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll actually put something up for the post this week. I'm officially going to take the reins back over, let Nathan relax for Instagram.
Flips hair on side.
There's a YouTube channel, Slasher Wave TV, who has like had taken all the clips and all the TV spots for this and made them look exactly like old TV spots for the first and second Halloween movie, and kind of mixed them all together, and they look so good.
Yeah.
And I like totally want to start a campaign to like have this movie and the last movie like put into that kind of like the same color grading and the same kind
Like
of VHS lines.
Yeah.
I really want that, because this to me felt like a really good true Halloween
A
sequel.
return to form.
Yeah, it's
Now
what I
you
wanted
see-
from the last one.
Now you see, this is where I actually disagree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know you're going to invalidate everything I say by just throwing
I know,
it all
it's your
back
opinion.
in my face.
No, it's your opinion.
Everyone's entitled to it. Everyone's got an opinion, just like assholes.
Except
does
again,
it-
I only want to see some people. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I love the way like you point at the microphone as you're trying to prove a point. Literally, the finger came out and started wagging at the microphone.
Well, that's the thing.
just
It's like
so
the
you
microphone
know.
is like the third person in the room. Like,
Yeah.
like when we recorded Trick or Treat, when I was talking shit about that girl who I
Yeah.
thought you were going to cut it out, I like
Rhonda the retard.
I like covered up the mic and just you can just hear who I was talking about.
You did that in our first Halloween
Cover it up.
retrospective. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
oh.
If
He,
if
like,
the mic
crossed
can't
his
see
hands.
me, yeah,
Yeah.
if the mic can't see me, it can't hear.
It's like if I cover my eyes, it
Yeah,
won't
exactly.
see me. No,
If I can't see you, you can't see me. Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, so basically, because obviously this is new, I mean, we might do it in a year or so where we retrospect it officially and give like a more kind of breakdown, you know,
In a year,
detailed
we're gonna have a new Halloween
response.
movie, though.
Yeah, true. Which I was going to talk about, but I think. Again, just like what we had for Candyman, you're literally like I messaged you earlier and I said that I had literally just rewatched it a second time, so I could scratch down more notes and things like that. Because watching it a first time, you just have to experience it.
Yeah, like I didn't want to pause. Like even though I watched this at home, which at first I was kind of pissed because I was like, oh, like I want to give like good horror my money, but then I was like, wait, with Peacock Plus, we could still do that. And like figure it out.
Give us the money.
But we could like still do that or whatever.
Yeah.
And goddamn, I immediately went into like theory videos and all that kind of stuff like right afterwards because I had avoided all spoilers because I don't really consider trailer spoilers. I'm like, okay, what I'm gonna trust the studio to show me.
Did you see the Black Phone trailer? That literally
but
away
that's
the whole
but that's
movie.
a joke. Like people are currently making a joke out of that it's like, why do I even need to watch that movie now?
Yeah,
you know, with this, like with these trailers, I feel like they kind of they gave intentional misdirects, which I was happy about.
I would agree. I only did see the first trailer, and then it's the same with Scream. I've watched the first trailer. I'm not watching anything else. I watched no teasers, no nothing, no clips, anything.
Oh, you know,
I
like
just watched the first trailer, and then I was like, I'll wait till I see the film.
I think like I allowed myself to watch the Scream trailer just because like that's my series. Like I have to watch it.
That's your thing.
But like with teasers, I'm gonna kind of stay away because I'm like, I don't know how much I trust that studio, because I trusted Wes Craven. Like leaks came out for Scream 2 and then rewrote the whole thing. You know, well, Kevin Williams didn't, but you know what I mean. The original crew kind of had that all going. But just the last couple of months, well, the last kind of year really, I've just been hyped as fuck for this movie. And then the trailer came out and I was like, okay, fuck me up.
Okay, well, I mean, let's get into it. I mean, Halloween Kills, directed by David Gordon Green and co-written by Green himself and Danny McBride. Now, when I read those two names, I did look through their filmography and things like that.
It's not comedies.
Apart from, it's all comedies. And to me, and it was the same problem that I think we had with another film that we were talking about was, of course, it was Candyman, that there was too many writers. Yeah. And the message that I believe they were trying to get across with this film is lost. Either that or it comes across as very shallow, and which is why I think I have most of the issue with the movie. Okay. But I do think, I mean, just in case anyone's Dave Gordon Green and Danny McBride, they were both co-producers and writers of Pineapple Express and Your Highness. So, like, I mean, I wouldn't exactly...
Which are decent movies, but, like, they're not the kind of... Like, if I was Mr. Hollywood exec, I wouldn't be like, get me those people for the next Halloween movie. Yeah. But I think, like, in my opinion, I'm going to rebuttal.
Which you can expect, by the way, over the next hour to 2 hours.
Like, on the opposite sides of the spectrum on this.
We're on opposite, you know, the pieces on the board are moving, and we are just ready to checkmate here and be like, this is what fucked it up, you can't fucking come back on it.
Which is kind of a stark kind of opposite to 1 year ago when we recorded our first episode for Halloween, where we both kind of unanimously, and most people who like horror kind of unanimously agree that like the original Halloween was lit, but like this to me was like it was what I wanted from a Halloween sequel, even over the last movie.
Yeah, I actually I totally agree on you with that.
Don't get me wrong, I like the last movie, but it took me a while. Same thing with Candyman. I was like, okay, I came into this with a lot of expectations. Yeah. And I kind of set myself up for a letdown. I think if I just went in blind and didn't expect anything, I might have enjoyed those movies better. But again, that's like what comes with legacy. You know, you have to like there's a certain amount. That's why you put the name on the movie. That's why you don't just make another random slasher. Yeah. You know, you attach it to another pre-existing franchise. Yeah. And Halloween just so happens to be one that's kind of like near and dear to our hearts. So I feel like we're both coming in with
guns loaded.
yeah. We both came in with expectations, I feel.
Yeah. I think specifically being fans of the franchise, and even at its lowest points, I still liked the movies and I would watch them again and things like that.
Yeah,
but,
like even the original sequels, I still love because they're what I grew up with. Like those are that's my Michael.
Yeah. Yes,
you know?
I totally agree. I saw Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, long before I'd seen the first Halloween iteration.
Yeah.
And I think because...
We got it free in the newspaper.
Yeah,
we got it free in like the Sunday Times or like the Inquirer or like the Independent or something like that. And I remember,
still have
like,
that DVD.
Fucked me up. Same.
But
it came in like a square like cardboard sleeve, you know. But like it fucked me up.
Yeah.
Like Michael Myers has always been like the one like
the Boogeyman
slasher that freaked me out.
Yeah.
That just fucked me up.
Yeah.
You know.
Where I think this film falls on its face, at least in my opinion. Now, again, like
there's going to be a lot of that in my opinion. Yeah.
Where I think it falls flat, or at least falls on its face, is the grand scheme of things. So of course this film feels very much like the middle chapter, of course, because it is a trilogy.
That's what I was going to say. It's very much so the second act.
Yeah. Which
is like kind of, I feel like a lot of people are forgetting.
Yeah. This film like divides fans into two kind of categories, in my opinion. There are those who like it, of course, because it is, you know, quintessential Michael Myers fucking everybody up. And then there's the fans who are interested in the mythos, the atmosphere and the gore, like you were saying, and the deeper meanings and, you know, plot developments of the characters. And I think this film sort of falls flat.
I think your last point there about plot is where people are kind of like,
it just doesn't kind of go anywhere.
But to me,
there's no pay. Sorry, I say it is going somewhere, but there's no payoff at the end.
But to me,
and I understand that it's a middle chapter.
Exactly. I think that like when Halloween Ends comes out,
something.
I think like I would like a director to finally do what they've like people have been saying they're going to do the last couple of years. I know fucking Andy Muschietti said he was going to do like an extended cut and just link everything together,
which kind of we are still waiting on.
Because I think that could
just so you know,
I think that could break up those movies a little bit better. Cause, we actually still haven't talked about it yet on the podcast, but like
it's coming. It's down the line.
But Chapter 2 really pissed me off because like there was too much humor in it. I think like half of Bill Hader could have been cut out, and I would have enjoyed it a lot more.
Yes.
But with this, I can't wait for like an extendo cut of like 78 Halloween, again another Halloween, and then these next two. Like I want them all kind of intercut because I think like even though I knew, like now we're actually gonna like get into the actual movie itself. Even though I knew this was going to be like direct and pick up the same night, when we see Cameron just walk on screen and he's in a skirt, and he's in that skirt for the whole movie, I might add, he dies in that skirt, which I kind of love. That's like very kind of subtle, kind of continuing on from the last one. Halloween is kind of progressive and not a preachy way. You know what I mean? We had that kid last movie who was missing dance class to go hunting.
Yes.
But it wasn't like he was like a faggy kid or whatever. He just wanted to go to dance class. But when we see Cameron pick up, I remember being like, "Oh shit!" It's like picking up like right away.
Oh, literally like
seconds later, like Halloween 2.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like this is also kind of a soft reboot of H2.
Yes.
Because it's like half it takes place in a hospital, kind of.
Yeah.
Laurie's there the whole time. You know, I also love that, like, you know what, we'll get to it later, but like people kind of like, shut up, Laurie. Like, just, okay.
Yeah.
Get over yourself.
This is something that I really did not appreciate about this film, was the fact that they so heavily, I mean, Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis is the main selling point of this film, apart from Michael Myers, let's be fair. But with the advertising and the selling point of her, she's not in it a whole lot.
Yeah,
for what
which
it
I'm
is.
actually
and she's very much a background character, and she's not orchestrating anything. She's not planning anything. I mean, like, of course, in the previous film, she is pretty much
trying to.
She
I guess
is fucked up by a big knife wound, and she's practically dying.
But she's also not in that last one that much either.
Yeah,
we
true.
kind of focused on Allison,
the
and it's weird. It doesn't feel like the torch has been passed yet. Like, it doesn't feel like
really
Allison's movie yet. And with this movie, I really kind of like that they, like, kind of broke away from it being specifically Laurie, because that was also my kind of problem with. We still haven't even like actually got into the movie yet, but like my problem last movie was kind of like, well, why does he give so much of a fuck about her if they're
because they've retconned everything,
exactly, if they're
and
not
he's
related,
no longer not
and why
related.
does she give so much of a fuck about him if he, like, to be honest, he only killed I think 6 people in the original movie, and now with this we see that he also killed another officer that night. So he only killed like a handful of people 40 years ago, and she's Sarah Connor. You know, I understand why Sarah Connor is Sarah Connor, because the whole world is at stake. But in 40 years, he's never come for you. I feel like I almost would have loved if it had been like the original Halloween, maybe Halloween 2, because I think keeping the familial relationship is just kind of, it makes you not question it. Yeah. You know? How a H2O, possibly, because I really loved that version of Laurie as well. But like, I don't know, I think when they were retconning some stuff, they were like, okay, we're gonna have to do some writing, like we're gonna have to like figure some stuff out, because again, like why is he just after her? And we'll get to it when we find out something about Michael later, where my mind was going, and then it kind of didn't. But yeah,
I do.
Great.
Now here's what I think. No, when it comes to the familial connections, I totally agree with you. I think keeping that is a huge benefit to the plot. If it develops further where suddenly Michael realizes, it's the same with Jamie. When she was a little kid, she realized that he is her uncle. Yeah. And
by finding publicity stills from the first Halloween movie in her closet. Fucking hell.
So like, I think honestly that's a perfect way to keep the tension building, because now that you have Laurie Strode's daughter, Karen, and then you have the daughter, everything is, if you keep that, like, that's technically their
it could have been linear. It could have stayed the right way.
You know, great uncle. Yeah. So, like, in a way, to me, I'm looking at that going, like, well, holy shit. Like, that's even better. But because they've retconned that, it sort of destroys that tension.
Yeah, because it kind of made me think, like, wait, why does he give a shit about Alison?
Yeah, why does he care?
In the last movie.
Yes.
Like, she just happened to be there, but then why does he chase her the whole time? You know? I do like the kind of, just jumping ahead a tiny little bit, I do like the kind of idea that it was like, it was his doctors that were like manipulating him. Like it was never him, like, because when you actually think about it, that makes a lot of sense. They didn't really have to retcon it a lot, because like when Michael came out, oh my God, I almost thought we were gonna have, like, because we get gays in this movie, also very progressive in a way where I was like, oh my God, these gays aren't, like, they're funny, but we're not laughing at them.
They're not the stereotypical.
Yeah, they're fags because they decorated, but they're not like, it's not like, haha, oh my God, there's gays in this, and it's funny because they're gay. You know what I mean? They just are funny, and we're cannon fodder as well. Gay, like, these gays get mangled up.
Oh man, they get fucked.
And now this movie, like,
delivers.
On
the gore.
It's one of those things where I'm like, God,
first time in drag, Halloween, gore to the stage.
So fucking good. Like the kill. So there was a couple of the kills in this movie where I was like, oh, and you really, really feel bad for all of the people that are dying.
I do.
This is like the
and some of them are such accidental deaths that you're looking at going like, oh no.
But this to me seems like the blend of what I really liked from Rob Zombie's movies and John Carpenter's movies. Like it's the perfect blend of those two Michaels. Because this Michael is scary.
Out of the franchise, now I talk about the John Carpenter franchise, this is the goriest out of the films.
I would say so.
I legitimately think it has some of the most brutal kills in it.
Yeah. Because in past movies, a lot of times we find bodies that are mutilated, but we don't get to see it. And now we get to see that dude with all the knives into the table, and I'm like, this is one of those moments that we don't usually get to see. We would usually, 40 years ago, we would have found him on the table with all the knives and found her dead. But like, damn, Michael is pissed.
Michael is angry. You can tell there's very much this kind of, it's not, because again I do think like legitimately this film is just a placeholder, and the reason why they upped up the gore factor was because it's the middle chapter to
Yeah.
keep you interested. But, and I will talk about it later on specifically about the ending and things like that. But I did feel like this film was dragging. I did.
Are
I
you
really
serious?
did. I was, and I told.
Now, bear in mind,
no,
we haven't spoken about this movie yet at
we've
all.
literally kept our initial reactions up until right now. This is literally him the first
It's
time hearing
raw.
this.
This is Top Story with Gail Weathers. You are hearing it live on the
Like,
scene.
so as I said, like, I mean, it's a bridge film. It has its benefits, but it definitely resolves nothing ultimately. It's just a placeholder for the third film. And, like, don't get me wrong, I did enjoy the kills. I loved them. I think the gorier the better, because that's what Michael is. He is literally just the shape, no mind, the mind of an animal with the body of, you know,
Of a man. Yeah.
that kills relentlessly. And it just sort of, it delivers on that, but it doesn't really deliver on everything else.
But also, when was the last time you came into a Hollywood movie for plot?
To be fair, the last one. Because, number
I suppose
one,
they're building a mythos.
it is building a mythos.
Yeah.
And which I think, I actually wrote it down, was the theme.
Oh, she's got notes.
No, I have notes, girl. I have 5 pages. The message in the first one was fear can't cage you. It shouldn't cage you. It
By the
can
first one, do you mean
empower you.
2018?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
It can empower you to propel you into the world
Yeah.
with, you know, with a drive. But this film, specifically because of the mob mentality, it does say, you know, oh god, what did I say? It like
Did I
that
see Malika
evil.
Khan in your notes?
Yeah, Malika
Okay.
Khan. So there was no payoff with the message of evil dies tonight, where the
Oh my
mob
god, they had to
mentality-
stop saying that.
I was like, literally, I drew a rolling eye emoji.
Yeah.
I was like, say it once, say it twice, third time's
But also,
a charm,
you know
but then
what?
it's
You
dead
know
from
what?
then on.
It's realistic. It's
I-
what would happen in mob mentality.
I got sort of sick of it. Now this is where
I got
will
sick of
admit,
it when they kept
though-
saying it casually. When people were like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
evil dies tonight."
tonight.
No, that to me makes
Evil
sense
dies
to have a
but
crowd.
it was also like
to have a crowd chanting
on the
it,
poster.
but then have people be like, "Yeah, evil dies tonight," like just saying it like in
Yeah.
casual conversation,
Yeah.
you know. But I love, I do like the angle that we're like, okay, let's stop focusing on Laurie, because like,
Yes.
no joke, I love Laurie. Like she's like the one. Like she's the final girl.
She
that
is
all final girls are
the
kind of based
quintessential
upon.
final girl. Yeah.
But like, I think the way they're going. With
Well, actually, no.
Sydney-
She starts as a scream queen. To be fair.
Well, she's the final girl.
And
She's
then
the last
she
one to live.
becomes the final girl because she. Yeah, I remember like talking about the difference between the scream
Okay,
queen
but she
and the
literally
final
is
girl.
the last girl. Even
Uh-huh.
just by looking around, there's no girls left.
True,
She's
fair
the
enough.
final one. But yeah, I think the way they're going with Sidney Prescott in kind of these movie, in like the new Scream kind of movie, I think is more realistically how it would play out.
Mhm.
You know, they call her, it's like, I'm Sidney Prescott, of course I have a fucking gun. But then it's like, why did she go... Again, that was my main issue with the last movie, was like, why is she fucking Sarah Connor after all this time? Because he's never come after her again since 1978.
Yeah.
You know, because none of these movies are in continuity. I think that, like, if we kept some where Michael has gotten out a couple of times or something has happened, but, like, I was just like, what's a fucking... Like, they even call it out. They're like, why is he so scared? Like, more people die, like, in schools every day than that. You know?
I think you said something very interesting about this, about the fact that the people are the ones that are like the focus of this.
Yeah, it's Haddonfield itself.
It's
the town.
Haddonfield itself.
I love it.
And this is something that has only been lightly touched on in the previous films that
Well, to
aren't
me,
in
this is a
current
reference to...
continuity.
This is a reference to
Halloween
4. Yeah, because
Yes!
yeah, exactly, right? Because we have
It
a
was
mob
only
there.
Explored briefly, though.
But it's kind of at the very end, though. It's how Michael quote
explored
unquote
briefly,
dies in
but
that movie.
This film, it becomes the driving part of the plot, and
Yeah.
I think it's a very interesting thing because, as we get to the end, spoiler alert, Michael is cornered by them at long last.
After 40 years, in my mind, I'm
Yeah.
like, why haven't they really done this yet in a Halloween movie? Because he's just a guy.
The entire town
So we think,
is true.
for now.
At least until the ending of the next film.
Yeah.
The entire town in this one is it's because it does play with the theme of a monster. Michael Myers creates a monster in the people of the town.
It's like the Frankenstein village people.
It's-
the village people.
a mob with like just pure chaos. People going literally crazy, and I think it's so interesting to see Haddonfield crumbling within itself.
Loved it.
And like it's the fear is making them, like I was saying earlier, because the first film talks about fear propelling you into action, whereas this film tries to continue that theme but just doesn't do it as successfully as the previous film.
I think it does, because we see it more on a large scale, versus Laurie is the only one in that in 18 that's actually scared, and it takes until people start dying for, like, even Oscar, that dude, he doesn't know that that's fucking Michael. He just thinks it's some guy, so he's not scared at all. Nobody is on the lookout. I think like the fear really starts to take hold when everybody like kind of starts to find out. And again, this movie, I wasn't sure exactly how, like, on the minute it was going to pick up, because like when we get legacy characters in this movie, which made me
Tommy,
so fucking happy. We have Lindsay, we have Marion Crane, we have Sheriff Brackett, and
everyone's entitled to one good scare.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Oh god, that was pure that was pure like fan service.
It was bad, but it was bad. Like, why,
terrible.
Why would you even say that to Michael? Michael wasn't even there.
Yeah, it's like, you know, but I also think it's like, yes, suddenly, like, you're looking at it going, like, oh shit, like, because, like, when the mask comes off, Michael can be seen
face
as more vulnerable in a way.
Oh, I actually haven't noticed that. When we get to the car attack, that's what saves Lindsay. I think, because that's it's always kind of been there, that the mask, and they focus on this super heavily in the zombie movies, that the mask is like the source. Like the mask is like what makes Michael Michael. You know what I mean? Like Michael is not like the little boy that's underneath. You know what I mean? And we also got a reference to that shot. So can we talk about the flashback scenes, please?
Okay, so
this is possibly my favorite part of the movie. These flashbacks look so much like the original movie. Yes. And even, I like that they kind of continue on, like even the police officers today still wear the Haddonfield, the green with the fur. Yeah. But, oh my god, the color grading, the set, everything looked so authentic. And I was even saying to you, this is what I want. I want a television show of just a couple of episodes just set, like, in this. You know what I mean? It's just, I loved it so much. And the white mask, the pure white mask. Young like 24-year-old Michael was so good and so violent.
Michael is played by 3 different people in this film.
We still get Nick Castle, because we get the Nick Castle kind of plays him kind of but we get Nick Castle is like obviously like the original Michael, so he does the kind of more stiff, the kind of almost kind of voodoo zombie kind of robotic kind of thing. And then I think James Jude Courtney, he's like new Michael, but he's like, he gives me Tyler Mane energy, like Rob Zombie's Michael, because he's like, he's not slow, like he can like pick up the pace when like it needs to be, like he will chase you and like fuck you up. But it's like when that officer, so we get Officer Hawkins, sorry I'm like all over the place because I like literally loved these scenes so much. We get Officer Hawkins like in a flashback from 78, and they go to the Myers house, and I love that like the other officer is talking about like, oh yeah, I used to like play with Michael and stuff like that, and it's like, damn, I always forget that like people who are just slightly older than Laurie would have known Michael like as a face to face personally. And we're kind of getting all this backstory, and then we get this shot of
with this fucked up eye level and wrong.
Deborah Hill's hand coming in off screen. But no, it's like there's this scene in the back alleys, which is all the stuff that used to really freak me out about the Halloween movies. Is the fact that it's so suburban, that it's just in like housing estates. But we see Michael standing there, and then he gets shot at, and then he just walks in, and I'm like, oh, like it really, really gives me Halloween 78. And then the kill that we get in the Myers house, oh, it's so good. Comes out of nowhere. Fuck. Don't.
Okay, no, we're back. We just cut because I spilled a whole goddamn glass of water all over my carpet. So
yeah, flashbacks. We get like
the death.
It's so good. Like the original mask and everything. Oh, he's missing bullet holes in him though, which actually kind of pissed me off. Because he's supposed to have like 6 bullet holes in him. You know, because this is all taking place right after we see Michael on the ground, like that famous shot, like the last kind of thing. So this is in place of what would have happened in Halloween 2, you know? But, like, I think the shots are perfect. Whoever, like, edited this together just really, really studied.
The cinematographer was Michael Simmons, and I really love the fact, and it's done so well.
My hat's off to thee.
With the music, it's a true,
score,
in my opinion, it's a true return to form with John Carpenter, his son, obviously Cody Carpenter, and then Daniel Davies, who featured on the track basically to add in newer themes to increase on top of what was already there, which is perfect.
That's what I like. This whole movie was scored with synths.
Yes.
You know?
And I loved the fact that they used, there's a shot where he looks out the window, then he looks down and he sees the bloody footprints, and it does that thing.
Yeah, we get that. We get all the original stings from the original movie.
I fucking love it.
But then Michael just comes out like a fucking bullet and just rams this guy and just like, again,
rams him, does he? Oh.
No, but it's like, it's very original. It's very like original Michael kill, where it's just kind of violent. Like it's not like
he grabs him and just smacks him up against the wall.
Yeah,
repeatedly.
just like bludgeons him up against this wall.
Yeah,
and then kind of garrots him with, I don't know what with.
I can't really remember. I just remember him like.
But he's like choking him
it was
from
like
behind.
hands around his throat or something.
No, it's because it kind of like lacerates the neck, much in kind of the way we see Hawkins have the same kind of thing. Hawkins was dead in that last movie though. I don't give a fuck. Because he got stabbed to bits and run over. You know, like that dude was dead. But and then we get to see Dr. Loomis. Dr. Loomis is in this scene, and the voice was a little bit off.
It was,
but the visual was so spot on.
It
looked.
I
was like, is this old footage?
I was like, yeah, was this a deleted scene or something?
Exactly like Donald Pleasance.
And
what did Michael do?
Well,
what did he kill again?
I
Evil.
Loved it. I thought it was excellently done. I really did. The cinematography is perfect.
I almost would have been happy to have this as the whole movie. These flashbacks.
The Michael Simmons, the fact that he just like literally just pays homage, and he knows when to do the Steadicam versus the you know, the walking camera, and it's always the angles that Michael is in shot, that it's all that kind of shaky cam, you know, following him around. And I love it. I think it's fantastically strong. And I think it should be strong because, like, if you're going to have a film called Halloween Kills and then the penultimate, which is Halloween Ends,
quote unquote ends. If the Acad's ever let this fucking series go.
It should be strong. And I do think Michael Simmons and obviously John Carpenter, with his score, did a fantastic job of this film. That's where...
in your opinion,
in my opinion, that's where all the positives end.
Oh no, I like can't get enough of this movie. Like, I don't know what it is. It feels like a Halloween sequel to me, whereas that last movie just didn't. Like, this just gave me everything I wanted. But like, I feel like I'm kind of proving myself wrong with like. Well, no, actually, no, I'm right. Because like this movie,
in your opinion,
this movie again, like this movie was not for plot, at all. This movie was what it says on the tin. It was for kills, you know. And because I feel like that was kind of lacking in the last movie. We got we got some decent kills, but like this movie like had kills. This to me was like the first really decent slasher movie we've had in a long time.
I feel like Michael. We said this before with Halloween. The original that Michael likes to set dress.
Oh yes,
loves it.
Michael is
loves to set dress.
Well, it's Halloween. You gotta decorate.
It's Halloween, and I loved the fact that after he murdered, well, he didn't murder Lindsay, but the car attack. After all of them are murdered,
I'm so happy, which means she's gonna be in the next movie.
Played
by Kyle Richards again. Sorry, I'm a big Real Housewives fan.
After the attack, of course, that Michael continues to set dress. Yeah. Wraps them up in
the silver shamrock mask. They're from Halloween 3.
Skeleton mask and
a witch mask.
Yeah,
they're from Halloween 3. But not like we got to see those kids in Halloween 18. But this time, when they're on the carousel, when the masks are on the carousel, they're confirmed silver shamrock masks because they have the little symbol on the back. Which means, like, is Silver Shamrock in canon? I actually, Chelsea from Dead Meat, she had a theory that like Michael was.
Shout out Dead Meat.
Shout out
Love
Dead
you.
Meat. That she had a theory that Michael's mask was like a silver shamrock mask, like he was being kind of like manipulated that way because the mask is so integral to him. Like Michael doesn't really kill without the mask on. And again, okay, because we kind of brought up that car attack with Lindsay. Again, this feels like such a perfect kind of continuation on because we got this nurse and doctor character from
Which
the
I
last
love
movie.
how they're switched because
He's a
the
nurse
doctor
and she's the
in it.
doctor. Yeah. And people had kind of theorized that like Julian was their son from the last movie, just because they're
Black.
like just because they're both black.
Yeah.
And again, also
I
this
love
movie
the way
kind
he
of
showed up in the news. He was
Yeah,
like,
for like
she
2
was my
seconds.
favorite babysitter.
yeah, but like for like 2 seconds or whatever.
I loved that. I love that callback.
But I really enjoyed these two characters and kind of how they introduce back in Lindsay, Marion, and Tommy. Tommy is the only legacy character, well, I suppose also besides Lonnie, that's not played by the original actor.
Yeah.
Like they brought back Marion and what was her fucking name again? Like who played her? Whatever. But they kill off legacy characters in this, which to me said like, okay, like not
Well, no one
everybody
is
is
safe.
safe.
Yeah.
Because also I think like I'm just gonna speak for like the rest of the world. I think Laurie is gonna die next movie. Laurie and or Michael is gonna die next movie. Like they have to.
Well, I mean, like if you're going to call it Halloween Ends,
There has to be some kind of
there has to be some
something.
kind of resolution.
And
to
they've
this.
done it. They've done it before.
What if the daughter dies and they both survive?
What do you mean?
Like
Okay, when you say the daughter, there's two daughters.
The granddaughter.
Oh, Allison.
Yeah. What if they both die and she survives, or she dies and they both survive?
Well, no, because look, I want this to be the wrap up. I want next year to be the wrap up of the Strode saga.
You know good and goddamn well that either the Accads, Blumhouse now because they're producers about this.
Oh no, the Accads are never going to let this go.
The franchise die.
I don't mind Michael not dying, or like Michael is staying. Like I don't mind Michael not staying dead.
What if they?
But I want
pull
Laurie.
Halloween 4 at the ending.
What do you mean?
Halloween 4.
That's okay. So
What
this
if
is
they pull that?
this is the twist, right? This is where I thought this movie was going.
Yeah.
That was so unnecessary.
Sorry, I seen it.
Because in the end of the last movie, we see
I did
Allison.
just drop a whole fucking cup of water.
I know, but I'm not a fucking retard. But at the end of the last movie, we see in the Texas Chainsaw ending where they're all three gals are in the back of the truck. They pan to Allison's hand holding that knife, and I was like, "Are they gonna fucking make her Jamie Lloyd? Like, are they gonna make her a killer?"
Yeah.
You know, and then they just don't. You know, but then I was like, wait. In this movie, I was like, are they gonna make Karen the killer in some way, shape, or form? Because she was talking about, there's this whole thing about Michael wasn't staring out, he was staring in. That when he was standing in his sister's window, he was looking at himself. But then I was like, wait, but Laurie's house is right over
directly
there.
across the
But then I'm
road.
like, wait, but he's like, actually, no, she would have literally been a baby.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like whatever, fuck my theory, I guess. But then we also get a lot of shots of Karen looking in windows and stuff like that, looking at herself, and I'm like, is she gonna have a gene? Because at kind of halfway through this movie, I was convinced that they were gonna end up putting the familial tie back in. You know, there's too much connection
In
between
what way
like
do you think?
with Karen. I thought Karen was going to be in some way, shape, or form like the way we find out that Laurie is actually related to him, or something like that. Because again, I'm like, what's his fucking connection? You know. And at one point in this movie, I think it's Hawkins. It's like, it's not about you, bitch.
You just happen to be in the way, so to speak.
Exactly. And then in
You
the
just
last
happened to
movie,
cross his path.
he was brought to you.
Yes.
Like you didn't. But also now it's like, well, now you're the one that's obsessed with him. You know, he didn't even fucking care about you. You know.
I agree. I totally agree.
Grow up.
I agree.
You hate this movie.
I like, it's hard for me to try and find redeeming qualities when there's barely any redeeming qualities.
I can't wait for your movie to come out.
I will say, you actually did mention it earlier about the couple living in the Myers house, Big John and Little John.
I love them. They're so adorable.
Thought this was hilarious. So I was swiping through Instagram and Jamie Lee Curtis's Instagram came up.
Yeah.
and I was viewing this, and I just thought it was fucking hilarious.
Oh my god, her Janet Leigh.
Can we speak about that for a second?
Oh, it was so good.
I loved that.
Icon doing icon shit.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
Is Janet Leigh dead?
She got a message from a friend saying, like, I'm just going to pass this on to you and I'm going to show you and tell you. She goes, in a message someone was sent to her, she goes, next time you talk to JLC, tell her I watched Halloween Kills and think that in the next Halloween movie, country gays need to be cast. We don't fuck around. The gays who were cast really thought they were going to take down Michael Myers
with a charcuterie knife.
With a damn charcuterie
I know.
knife.
Oh my god.
Country gays would have roped him, shot him, and then decapitated him.
Yeah. Well, like that's.
And she says, she's responded. She put it up as a post. She goes, "Made me snort, laugh. Charcuterie knife."
It literally was a charcuterie knife, though. Like
Yeah.
the knife was like this big. Sorry, you can't see me.
Yeah,
Like, it was like a 2-inch long blade.
It's your middle finger big.
Like a cheese knife. It literally was a cheese knife. And I don't know. I actually really loved their whole kind of scene, and I love that like these weren't just like stupid horror movie characters. They were aware that they were living in the Myers house.
They weren't
but they were aware that they were living in the Myers house. Yeah. You know, like most people in horror movies don't look any of that shit up.
And they also did the smart thing. They did the smart thing where immediately they were like, "We know someone's in here." They armed themselves.
No, that was another scary sentence where it was like, "Someone's in our house."
Yeah,
you know, and like something like that always freaks me out. I think it's Friday the 13th part 2 or 3 where I think it's Kristen. She's like, "Somebody's in this room."
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no lights on. It's like somebody's in this fucking room.
Yeah,
that to me always creeps me out. Or like something like that. Like somebody's in the house. Like that sentence always fucks me up in movies because it's like vague. And kind of like it's just really like threatening. Yeah. But
I also love the fact that when they go Big John, Little John, they're still calling each other out to make sure that each person is okay. I love
like
that
they
fact.
split up, which to me like it's not dumb because they're in their own house. It's not like they're in a group and all 6 people run in different directions. Yeah. Yeah, like they're kind of going room by room, and like you said, kind of like Marco Polo just to make sure that like everybody is like still good. But damn, when Lil John or
Big John, because the little one is called Big John and the taller one is Little John.
One has like a big knife, one has the charcuterie knife. His
kill,
right in the armpit,
and you can see that all of a sudden, like he literally just goes like
he's
that.
stuck up like
freezes,
that.
Like,
and then
because of the pain, he gets like shoved. The knife, it is a butcher knife, right? That he has.
It's Michael's knife,
and he
got that from the couple's house.
Yes. He ends up digging it right into, I think it's like the right armpit or something.
Yeah, it's the right armpit.
His shoulder like shoots up.
It freezes
and his
up.
cheek literally like pulls right into it, and it's like he can't literally move. I don't know how that would react, but when I seen that, it gave me shivers down my spine.
Yes.
It's like that literally looks like it is probably the most painful fucking thing.
Yeah.
Even though I know
that's gonna go right into like the lung.
There's tendons and then there's mainly muscle in that area.
But like, there's rib cage right there. That would have to go through rib cage, like into lung.
And then
like,
I think his throat is slashed or something.
He's grabbed by the head.
Yeah.
And his eyes. They don't just get pushed in.
Deal.
We see the eyes get squished and come out, and the head kind of collapse into itself.
Yeah.
And then Lil John,
the tall one.
Yeah. Sorry, Lil John. He comes home and again, fully aware of where he's living and fully aware of who Michael is. Yeah. Which is weird for a Halloween movie because in the original movie they don't know that's Michael Myers.
No one fucking knows
Loomis is the only one that knows that it's Myers. You know, again, like he's only referred to as the Shape, which I hate when they say that out loud though, because it sounds so dumb.
In
the last movie, she's like,
the Shape is kind of frightening.
No, the Shape to see in the credits, stunning. But when Laurie shows up to dinner or drunk or whatever, and it's like, I saw him, I saw the Shape. Why would you call him that?
Okay, fair enough.
Like it sounds weird to say out loud, you know.
Yeah.
Also, okay, so I think for this movie again, because it's not very heavy on plot, I think we should kind of just go through the kills.
I think that's actually the set. Like, what's your favorite kill?
The one that got me for some reason was the nurse in the car when he gets stabbed through the eye.
Yeah,
I felt so bad for him for some reason because like Marion dies and I was kind of sad that they killed her so like unceremoniously. But again, I'm like, well, I guess like that's how murder works. Like murder is not always a big like
it's a mundane finality to
yeah,
some people.
like she isn't anybody to Michael.
Yeah.
You know, even though like she's survived Michael twice.
I also love
two
the
different
callback
series.
reference that they had.
What for Loomis?
Because no, for the nurse, the way like Michael starts to come after her.
Oh, with the
in
thing.
car,
Oh, well,
it's
this
a
the
complete
shot
callback
of
and a
him
reference
jumping
to
up
it.
on the back of the car is
the exact one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this whole setup, this actually was one of my favorite scenes and one I was most looking forward to, because for me it had the most stakes, I guess. Was and they showed this in one of the trailers as well. Just the kind of like the very first part of the scene. Okay, all of these people meet up in a bar. It's Halloween night. They're kind of commemorating stuff like that, and Tommy tells a story or whatever, and then everything starts to go down. They see it all on the news, and they
immediately jump into action.
They
They're
immediately jump into action because they also
mob.
think that Michael Myers is in the back of the car, right? Because we
I
forget
love
that
they don't do that stupid white people thing where they're like,
they're
let's
like,
go check it out.
Yeah,
they're
she's like,
no, we're not
she
fucking going over there.
Yeah, she jumps into the car. I actually didn't take their names down. I'm just kind of referring to them as the nurse costumes.
The nurse doctor couple.
But like she gets in the car and somebody's in the back, and we get it established only a couple of minutes before this that like, yeah, we kind of forgot that there actually was a breakup.
Yeah, there was.
Like again, kind of similar to the first.
For
movie.
the longest time period, I was wondering who the fuck this was.
Same, but like it's weird because they had his face up on the news, and then they had Michael's face, but Michael's face was obscured.
Yeah.
So and I kind of like this little side plot because it shows like kind of mob mentality and mob justice and stuff like that, but like it leads us to my favorite scene where Marion, Lindsay, and the nurse and the doctor, they go out and they're like at this point like kind of our main characters now are starting to try and like round people up, trying to get people to stay in,
gather weapons, you know, try and gather enough people
to like actually form a mob or whatever. But we kind of get to a park where we see kids, and they're just kind of like it's
the asshole kids who tormented
it's two of three kids. It's the witch and the pumpkin. And Lindsay gets out to go over and like warn them or whatever like that, which I find kind of sweet. I'm like, she's going there to like protect children. Like she doesn't actually even know these kids. She just sees that they're out by themselves.
And they're already dealing with Michael.
Yeah,
He's
Michael is just
playing with them.
Michael is just over there, and they're like, oh, it's this creepy guy in a white mask, and he keeps trying to like play hide and seek with us. And they're like, oh look, there he is over there. And she turns around, and it's like instantly she's like, get the fuck out of here. Like, and she really sells me on this. I think a lot of people were expecting Kyle Richards to kind of A, just be a little cameo, and B, kind of shit because she's like a quote unquote reality star now, but I think she really, really did well in this movie.
Did sell it,
and I'm very happy she's going to be in the next one. At least I think, because she survived. But that look over, she sees Michael, and Michael is just standing there with the skeleton mask in his hand, bloody. So like again, Michael's killed another child. I love it. Which sounds psychotic. It's like there's like that kind of there's two groups of people who watch horror movies: those who want children to be killed, and those who think we're free.
I totally agree. I think
it just says nobody's safe. All bets are off.
Safe because like. It's the same thing that we had with
you're breaking rules.
When you show the death of a child,
you're breaking you're breaking movie rules.
Yeah, because like there's always been that.
And he killed a dog. He killed a dog in this movie too.
Yeah. At least it wasn't a fucking reverse shot.
Oh, whatever, bro.
No, I think I totally agree. I think once you do kill a kid, all bets are off. And I think not that you should, but like if it's integral to the plot, perfect, fine, do it, go for it. Because in a fucking real life situation with a serial killer, they're not gonna care. No. They're gonna fucking do it.
Spare the baby though.
Spare the baby though, yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
But I think that was a zombie Halloween reference.
True. Yes.
But this scene is so good, and because I think this is where we get the kind of most like the cluster of most kills. Because the mob one later, they're all kind of vague. We don't get to like see him actually do the thing.
You get slices, and you just get blood getting spurted over that way. And
so like Michael is just standing there by the car, and Kyle does not waste any time. She sees him kind of like going for everybody in the car, and she takes the bags of candy, dumps them out, and fills the bag with bricks.
Love that.
I was like,
exactly what I would do.
I was like, bad fucking bitch. I loved it, and she like kind of bided her time. So these are the kills that I was like, oh shit. So Marion
Finucane.
So damn, it's kind of throwing me off because I don't know these people's names. I'm just referring to them as nurse and doctor.
Yeah.
Nurse.
Has
Or
a gun.
doctor dressed as nurse gets out of the car, and she kind of like
she takes the gun from her husband.
Yeah, the big gun, like proper gun.
And it's like I love the way he literally just like, I don't fucking know how to handle this thing. She's like, motherfucker,
I shot this before.
She immediately picks something. I was like, and she like cocks it and everything. Yeah. And she's like, yes.
And she gives him the little like tiny like little like pistol or whatever. But she gets out of the car, and then it kind of like starts to go down.
Yeah, very quickly.
Very quickly and like kind of brutally. It's really a lot. So Marion just gets kind of stabbed. Like it's kind of vague.
It's
we don't really
very
get to see
like that kind of like slow.
Stick it in and twist it.
Stick it in and just like like all like 12 inches of that knife going right in.
Yeah.
And like it just. Yeah.
You can tell that in this movie, Michael has a couple of like, oh, I remember you kind of moments in this.
No.
So he dies, and then poor guy, this nurse, he tries to kill Michael with this stethoscope. Like, or look, whatever.
I love the way he just turns himself.
I was gonna say, because Michael.
You didn't think he could do that?
Yeah, like any kind of like garroting scenes or garroting scenes in movies or whatever. It's like
never turn out well.
Just turn around though.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've never actually thought about that logic because Michael literally just like.
He's like literally just like, motherfucker, what?
Yeah. But then he just shoves this knife right up, but it's not even like into the eye, through the bottom eyelid, through the eye, up into the head. But like, the guy makes a little noise where it's like, oh, and then he starts to like twitch or whatever. And I remember being like, oh, fuck.
The way
and the
nurse dressed as the doctor, or no, sorry, the doctor dressed as the nurse dies. I
felt so bad for her.
I fucking love accidental deaths. In horror movies.
First time Michael has inadvertently at least kills someone with a gun.
Yeah, I love this because he sees her approaching with she shoots a couple of times but keeps missing. Yeah, and then as she approaches, he just kicks the door. Yeah, and she like it hits and she shoots herself in the face. Yeah, and like. Honestly, I looked at it and went, no, but I was looking at it still going like, yes, I love accidental deaths.
Like, these people, again, I said kind of earlier that, like, everybody in this movie, I just felt bad.
Yes.
Because, like, it's, like, there was no quick and easy deaths.
No.
Michael really, like, was, like, kind of having fun.
And Lindsay just kind of fucking goes for him with the
and I loved that, because I'm like, Lindsay...
She gets, 2-3 heavy hits at him?
Oh, she comes around the corner, like, around the car, and she just...
break his jaw.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get to it, and I feel like we won't really get our answer until next year. Michael takes a lot of damage in these movies.
Yeah. Takes a lot.
But, like, she comes around and she just has this bag of bricks and just swings at him. And she goes for it. Like, she really is, like I don't know. I love a bad bitch in a movie.
Yeah, and I love the camera, like, swings back and forth with the
kind
bag.
Kind of The Shining. Yeah. And he grabs her up. And I remember being like, oh, fuck, they're going to kill her in this movie. Because they showed that in the trailer.
You said that to me and I was trying to remember who the fuck Lindsay was. And I was like, oh.
And they gave her bangs as well. Because Kyle in Real Housewives doesn't have bangs, but they gave her the little Lindsay bangs for the thing. And her and Tommy, they're not together. No, I thought they were a thing, but they're all just good friends. Yeah. All the survivors and anybody who's kind of had an encounter are all friends
kind of
now.
Banded together over Snapchat.
But I find it weird when I'm like, oh my god,
they
most of the people that died, most of the legacy characters that died in this were children in the original movie.
Almost all of them. No.
Almost. Yeah. No, Lindsay.
Every single one
Lindsay's
of them.
the only one that
Except for
survived.
obviously Laurie and Lindsay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone. Yeah.
And Tommy's like really super gung ho
because
like,
Brackett dies.
Brackett dies, but he doesn't even get a moment though. He dies. He dies as part of a crowd.
Yeah. True.
That crowd scene at the end really kind of just like.
I have so much to talk about that bitch.
It was the only part where I was like, did they just kill Michael though? Mm-hmm. You know, I thought Karen did it when she kind of curb stomped him against the stairs because he stops moving. Mm-hmm. In my mind, as a movie character, why would you do it once?
Okay.
You take your foot and you do that
multiple
more times until his head is liquid.
Yeah.
You know?
So this is like my problem with tacked on sequels. And again, like this is something it is purely opinion based. It's not anything to do with that. It's just my opinion on it.
Part of a planned trilogy now, though.
No, I understand that, but it was very clear that the Halloween was on its own. It was very clear. These
the original Halloween?
No, as in the 2018 one. That was very much meant to be on its own, defining Myers' death.
No.
So
not at all. You're so incorrect.
It was a film. These two sequels, Halloween Kills and Ends, are very much they just feel like they're tacked on, because I only see them as being what was meant to be the end of a franchise. Michael literally, like, because they just explained it in the most, like, how did he survive the fire? He was behind a gun rack until a fire, a first responder.
But he was in the gun shed.
No, hold on.
It's not just a tiny thing.
It was literally a wall that he literally opened it up. So it's literally a thing where he just slid himself in there. It was like, I'll wait until the first responders show up, or a way for me to get the fuck out, or the fires die. I hated it. I fucking hated it. And I hate when people like try to find the most mundane reasons as to why to bring back someone. And I think I truly do. I like, again, it's just me. I don't like sequels because sometimes the first is the best. You kind of just leave it at that and move on. It's the same thing when I was hearing about like
T2.
Stop trying to prove me wrong. And it's the same thing that I have with, I'm hearing nowadays.
Stop
like,
being wrong.
It's the same thing that I hear nowadays with things like there's a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
But it's like super woke and like it's drama.
And
it's not
then
comedy.
there's like that 90s show remake. Stop trying to bring back something that was fucking amazing to begin with. Use your own originality and come up with something better. And it just feels like this was. It's not necessarily an afterthought, because it's not fair to call these two sequel films an afterthought. It's not fair to call them that, but it does feel like they were like, oh, people still have an interest in Halloween. Okay, let's do a trilogy. You know what I mean?
Well, we do. Well, because see, that's the thing. I think
just
because
feels like that.
But I think because again, like we grew up watching the 6 other movies that came after the first Halloween movie, that like it feels kind of like a huge thing, but like it is kind of hard to look at it as this is Halloween 3
technically yes.
So like I like the idea of being a quadrilogy, and again like I feel like when it was on the front of the Scream box set, don't get twisted, but like I feel like when something is kind of a planned out trilogy, and again that's why my defense of the Scream movies is always there, is that like there's a start and an end goal in mind when...
Yeah, Wes Craven wrote it to be a trilogy.
Yeah, but also these were written as a trilogy. Like these were... Like we knew these were coming like after... Like immediately after the first one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they saw how great it did in the box office. Because...
No, but like 2018 set us up for this
Green
movie.
Did something original with Halloween. He did something original with it
and made it Terminator.
Well, but like, yeah, that's I know you may disagree, and the fact that's the best thing about having these kind of conversations is the disagreements are always the juicy part. So yeah, the other thing is, the other problem at least I had with this film was that the plots sort of were all over the place. Two things in particular. There was a plot that was developed with the mental patient, the other one that had escaped, that was mistaken for Michael, and he commits suicide after Karen helps him. Why is it always when a Karen helps something bad happens?
So fucked up from that jump,
mate. Bro.
He looks like lasagna.
Oh,
like his arms are broken
arms.
in like a bunch of different places. His head is completely open at the back. His like foot is like snapped in half. Yeah. Like I felt so bad for him, but again, I think like I don't know. I like the kind of idea that it was like mob mentality is not always good.
Yeah,
you know, because none of them people know what Michael actually looks like.
That theme was weak. It was a weak. The idea to turn it on itself, and again, it was like what I mentioned earlier about the fact that Michael Myers can turn a town into monsters because they do this terrible thing, but it doesn't get resolved.
What do you mean it doesn't get resolved? Half the mob goes, over half the mob leaves, and that's why there's only those few at the end.
No, I just disagree. I don't think the plot went anywhere. I really don't. I think that if there was a payoff to it, there should have been.
What would you have wanted as a payoff to that?
I would have been like, well, this guy clearly isn't. Like, no one.
But they did that in the movie.
I know. Like, and I really think that, like, even Tommy was just so, like, I found it really hard to, like, look at him afterwards being like, you literally just stood there and you let everyone go after this person even after you realized it wasn't Michael.
But he tried to stop everybody.
Even the policemen were like, you know what, we can't fucking stop this now.
Well, no, it wasn't even that. The whole mob started because the police have been shown to be completely ineffective in these Halloween movies.
Oh no, like I agree with that part, but they were still ineffective. How do you make something ineffective effective immediately? You know. I know. And Karen and Laurie. There was also a moment where she's like, "Stop! It's not Michael. I'm Laurie Strode," and it's like, "Oh, okay." Chill out, lady. But I felt that kick to the stomach though.
Oh, I feel she like ripped open like all of her fucking stitches
ripped
and shit.
Open. I was like, oh Jesus Christ. Oh.
But I like that they were kind of like, it's not him. Like, I also forget that like none of these people
know what he looks like.
Yeah, it's only our legacy characters that have actually encountered Michael and those police officers.
And there's very few of those legacy characters that have seen what Michael actually looks like behind the mask. But also this guy,
and I think that's why some of them survive.
Is very squat. Is very he's overweight. He's clearly.
It's a small little fat man.
It's a small little fat man who's clearly like doesn't know up from down.
But Tommy brings it up. He's like, Michael's always wearing a mask. Like, how the fuck are we supposed to know what he looks like?
Yeah.
You know, plus that was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, so like this very easily could be Michael Myers. Then people just don't know that. And the whole time it's been, Laurie's been like, no, he's coming here. Like, he's coming after me.
Yes.
So everybody's expecting Michael to show up to the hospital.
Yeah.
And he just never does.
Yeah.
You know, which again kind of, I think, now this to me gives a good explanation as to why Haddonfield is so empty on Halloween night. Mm-hmm. Because everybody's at the hospital. Everybody's together.
Oh, can we just
That's
talk
why
about
the streets are empty.
The mother of the kid who got speared in the last film,
Oscar.
Yeah.
Oh, the gore.
And he was like, oh no.
It was sad.
And I felt that, and I was like, because she
showed up and she's like, is he alive? And they're like, we don't know.
Yeah.
But the gore, they showed him from underneath.
Him through that like locked door, and she just breaks down, and I was like, there's the reality of these films, and that's what's propelling the mob forward. But again, they show the gore from underneath, so we just see this giant hole in his chin. And I think it's like his mouth is like pushed up or something like that.
And then they show it from the front, and the jaw is pushed out and up. It's like obscured. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, they did a good job, and I like sort of those little tidbits of like continuity that they still kept.
Yeah.
From, I mean, obviously the first film, it takes literally all place within the same night. But I liked those little tidbits that they tried to that they tried to, bring you back from the first Halloween.
Yeah. Now I almost would have preferred if they had gone a step further and actually had the mob like rip this guy apart, because then I thought like, okay, it wouldn't have been so somber. It would have been like okay, you guys actually are fucking evil. Like, you guys just have no clue. Like, it's like, then you would have actually been turned into the monsters. But it's like that little turnaround at the end where Karen is like they like try and mouth it because they're like on either side of this glass room or whatever, and he's like, oh, fuck, lady. He's like, oh shit. Played by Anthony Michael Hall, by the way, from The Breakfast Club. Sorry, that's like what I know him from. Which I find is kind of weird because the guy who played Tommy Doyle is like still alive and like not old. Okay. Like, he's like the same age as Kyle Richards. So I'm like, that seems like kind of he's the only legacy character to be played by somebody else. Yeah. Like, possibly.
Yeah. I mean, there's that part, and then there's the other one where like he's after Laurie, he's going to the hospital, and then there's another one where they're like, look at this map, he's going home. If you take it, it's a straight line straight back to his house. Which makes sense. But like, that's again, it's a plot that doesn't go anywhere.
But it does go somewhere. It does.
It literally doesn't.
It literally does, because he gets home.
It's not explained why. It's not explained
because it's his house.
Why? So why would he want to go
because his parents
there?
moved. Because that's the last place he was before he went to the sanitary. Like, he went to fucking, like, the hospital.
Okay, well then why is he after Laurie then?
But he's not. He doesn't go after Laurie in this movie at all. Laurie and Michael never, ever see each other in this movie.
Ugh.
Also, we got footage of Laurie screaming Michael in this movie, and a couple of different shots that were in the some of the trailers, which I believe are either cut from this movie or footage from Halloween Ends. You know, but like again, it's not about Laurie, which I actually kind of like, because I'm like, I don't like the idea that he was just sitting in prison for 40 years, being like just waiting the whole time.
He's like
oh,
literally
get
tweeting,
that bitch.
"Fuck Laurie Strode."
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm gonna get that bitch at Jamie Lee Curtis. Fuck you, die. But like, timestamp that. I want to throw that on Insta. But you and your fucking yogurts, bastard. But
goddamn tweets.
now, Laurie wouldn't have been having them stomach pains if she had kept up with her Activia.
Oh my god.
But no, I think it makes total
That's
sense.
a fucking knife wound.
I think it makes total sense that he goes back to the Myers home, because like that's what the entire first original movie was about. The night he came home. It's about going home. You know?
I don't know.
And like, he was taken, like, I think that if Michael had gotten out, right, without Sartan,
if Michael had gotten out, right?
Whatever. Don't judge me, bitch, for me. If Michael had gotten out, he would have gone home. But when he got out, like, if he had gotten out by himself without Dr. Sartan or whatever, whose foot we see in this movie, I would have appreciated not seeing that. Like, literally a toe tag. I was like, oh, God, gross. But I think Michael would have gone home, and then he got completely diverted and brought out to the middle of wherever it was that Laurie was living. Yeah. But like, again, that's another really good scene where he gets to the old couple's house.
Yeah, this was something that I also looked at and I was like, well hold on, and
another Halloween 2 reference.
Like, oh yeah, of course, yeah, absolutely.
But they're watching something on TV. I actually didn't manage to grab the name of it, but like, they're kind of just having a little Halloween night in. They're like chilling or whatever, and then they hear like a little, like, I think it's like a glass breaking or like a door slamming or something like that, kind of in the back of their house. And they're like, somebody's here, like somebody's in our fucking house. And they like look in the back, and the guy opens the door to see Michael in the bathroom,
and he smashes the light.
Yeah, don't look at it.
Yeah. I need to put on the pattering. I need to pattern my nose.
I don't know. I loved that though, and he's like, "There's a big dude in our fucking house."
I love the way he locked both doors immediately. He was like,
like they're not being dumb. He's not confronting him. Yeah. And then to me, again, I get the impression that this is like Haddonfield, but like the countryside,
the outskirts of
like
the town.
Laurie does not live in the town. Yeah, like you would have to drive to her house, I guess.
Yeah.
But these kills, bro.
So good. I will say,
how's that old guy's head up against the door frame?
Oh, the one that I loved was the fact that when she gets it in the neck by the what you call it,
like halogen bulb, or like a
the really long light bulbs that you hang like under I think it's an oven light or something like that. He smashes that and drives it into her neck. You can literally hear the bulb filling up with blood.
Yeah, and he twists it.
It's like oh my god, and she's still alive. She literally watches her husband repeatedly stabbed over the table,
and he's also still alive until like the third or fourth night. Yeah, it's really brutal. I loved it.
It is tough, but also I looked at it and go like, what was Michael doing in that house? Why was he there?
Fixing himself up. Like, Michael had just come from a fire. Like, we forget that he has also just gotten attacked.
Yeah, it's literally just from...
forget the first kills of the fucking movie. Michael kills,
the first responders. Yeah, the firemen.
I don't know why I loved that when, like, he came out and they were, like... Because they heard screaming from the inside, and then he just, like... He steps out of the flames or whatever. Again, they're really kind of pushing that, like, Michael is, like, not a man. Michael is, like, evil. Like, a quote, force to nature. Because Michael just steps out of this. Also, latex wouldn't hold up. Neither would the hair
to like
melt.
Very like it would constrict and start pushing downwards.
And we do get warping and kind of damage to the mask in this movie. Like we have, like, because Michael was shot in the face last movie, and his hand is bandaged up because he got the.
He only has 3 fingers. On one hand now.
I think the front 2 or the last 2 shot off. By Laurie in the last movie, and she should be deaf after that, by the way, because she shot that shotgun right by her head. Fuck Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm joking. when he steps out of the house, you can see that the first responders kind of like, they kind of gear up. Like,
Oh yeah,
kind of
they
like,
know
okay.
immediately.
But
Yeah,
he comes out with this like big pickaxe, and I'm like, they have him looking like the Grim Reaper
yeah.
because it's like it looks like a scythe,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I'm like, I'm always wondering if that's where they're gonna kind of go with the next movie of like Michael is like an angel of death or like some kind of bringer of death or whatever. Very kind of Halloween 6, which I feel like is where people really started to turn against the series. But I don't know how you
Cue
make...
the audible eye roll.
But I don't know how you make Michael like withstand all of the stuff that he's withstood in these two movies without making him supernatural in some way, shape, or form. Because he's like, Michael Myers is like, has to be like in his 70s now. Because he was like, he was a child. What, he was 6 in 63.
He was 17 when he was older. He was
24.
He was in his 24 when he met Laurie.
Yeah, 24 in the original movie.
And she's
and that was 40 years ago.
And she was what, 16?
Yeah, she was in high school.
So that's over 50 years, meaning that he's at least
it's not
75.
It's 40 years.
No, it's 40 years since Michael met her last, right?
Yeah.
And that means when he was 24, when... Right, so he's at least...
In the first Halloween movie,
75.
Michael is 20... I actually think he's 26.
Okay, so then he's at least,
6-year-old
because it's
Michael...
40 years, 20, he's at least 7... He's in his mid-70s.
Michael is an older man.
He's old.
Michael is an older gentleman.
And he's still able to withstand all of this shit.
Like, in that with the mob, he gets shot, like, point blank, like, in the chest a bunch of times. Gets, like, walloped over the head with, like, bars. Gets barred over the head with bricks.
So this is where I have an issue with this as well. This
and Allison
is another
stabs
thing.
him a bunch of times as well in the stomach.
So, as soon as, like, I have this thing where as soon as you make something indestructible or something becomes indestructible, there's nowhere to go. It becomes boring. Which is why I had a huge problem with this film. Because Michael essentially, since the very first film, is essentially not immortal, but the fucker can... It will take a lot for you to fucking kill him.
Yeah.
And the man... We might as well say it now. When he is ganged up, after he's been stabbed in the back with a fucking pitchfork, curb stomped, and then stabbed...
Curb stomped by Judy Greer, though.
Yeah. Curb stomped, and then stabbed in the middle part of the neck where the spine is by the same fucking butcher knife.
Yeah.
And then shot in the chest, beaten to literal pulp.
With like chains and an iron. One of the ladies
iron.
that was in the mob had an iron.
Like a gun. He stabbed a couple of times.
Yeah.
And the fucker literally got back up.
But listen, I have a theory, and a lot of people are also kind of going with this theory.
It's just boring.
No, I think that
kill him already,
No,
or
I think
let
that
him not get fucking it and kill all of them. And they didn't even do that successfully.
What do you mean? He killed literally every one of them. He killed Tommy.
Literally every single one of them. I know, but the problem is, didn't do it properly.
What do you mean? They're dead.
I want big ass gore
They're
for this
dead.
penultimate scene, and all I got was some slight stabbing, a throat cut, and some blood getting thrown across the screen with some backlit, and I didn't like that. I thought it was really sloppy.
Like, really sloppy?
Yeah.
What, Michael, okay, how do you expect Michael to, like, execute all these people perfectly?
It should be done the same care that was done with the other kills.
No, you can't do that, though, because each of those people were on their own in some way, shape, or form, or in a tiny little group. This is a mob. Like, Michael couldn't set decorate. Michael couldn't grab somebody. You know what I mean?
You know, a bitch loves to self-decorate.
But you know what I mean? It's like even with the firefighters, Michael had to kind of turn their weapons on themselves instead of just like going like the big like power saw or whatever like that. I think it's called like a. It's like
it's one of those things that
like they cut through like car doors and shit.
Yeah.
It like turned that on the person. You know what I mean? Like used a lot of people's weapons against themselves. So I don't really know how he would have been able to like, unless he like spent time out on the street after the fact when they're all dead, you know, like doing little bits and bobs. And,
no, I don't mean like the whole satire. I just mean the way that I think this is where Michael Simmons like kind of failed when it came to the murder scenes of the mob, because I knew it was happening. Once he got back up, I knew all of them were fucked. They were all gonna die. So when it came to them actually being murdered on the spot, it wasn't done as successfully as most of the murders were, because all I saw, or at least, and they were CG. I don't know if you noticed that they were CGI kills.
Oh, I noticed a couple of CG
So like the
blood
neck being
scenes in this
cut,
movie.
the stabbings, and then like there was these multiple shots of like blood spurts just going up into the air with a large white light. Like backlighting it, so like you could see the illuminated redness of the blood.
Oh, I didn't mind
And
it because Michael.
I
It's
just thought
also
it was
taking
like,
place in the
it
middle
took
of
me
like
back
a
way
a
to
thing
like
of
the
cars.
early 2000s things where like
I
you'd
guess.
see Jason like smash it and the person would like turn to the camera and blood would be everywhere.
Oh yeah, you can like see
that's
the
what it
pumps and
reminded
shit.
me of, and it failed.
We get an Achilles
that.
tendon slice in
Yeah,
this shot though.
yeah.
Somebody goes to kick Michael or whatever like that, and we get to see like a cut across. The only one that we kind of get like a moment with is Tommy, I guess,
Yeah,
he's like,
because
the
he knows
character.
he's fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like Tommy like doesn't actually know shit. Like Tommy and Lindsay, like they survived the first movie, but only because they were kind of kept at a harm's way. Like I don't think they like get it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I guess Lindsay does. Lindsay got to see like what he did to all those people or whatever. Like that's like to Marion and the nurse and the doctor and stuff.
Yeah.
Also, who the fuck knew that Lindsay was going to turn around and be like way more fucking badass than Tommy? Like I thought Tommy was going to be like a hardcore
Tommy had
in this
power
movie.
in numbers, but once he was on his own,
Bitch.
little bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought Tommy
totally
was going to be
agree.
like hardcore in this movie because like the trailers showed him like with the bat and everything, and I was like, oh shit! Like
I
this is
loved
going to
the
be
way
like,
he
good.
stalked forward immediately, ready to face him, like swinging the bat
Yeah.
like back and
But
forth,
that's-
ready to go.
that's the
But I
white people
guess
shit.
I guess it was ice holding up against a flame.
Yeah.
Like as soon as it got close, it fizzled.
But it's the white people shit. It's like the nurse and the doctor are like, I'm not fucking going to check out. Let's go into the bar. Michael Myers is in my car.
Yeah.
Immediately,
Yes.
one solo white guy by himself goes out of the car. You know, oh god, that poor guy.
Yeah.
That poor. Well, I suppose he was in there for like the criminally insane. Like he really did something.
We forgot about the boyfriend that dies
Cameron.
and his father. This was also another
Yeah.
thing because again, it's that theme of why did he go in? He went in there specifically to die. We
But-
all know that.
I know, but
and
it
it's
was
again,
also-
it's the white guy going in on his
Yeah.
own, being like,
But it was also,
you know,
it
you're
was
gonna
also
die.
a personal thing though, because we saw from the
But like
first
you
movie.
all know Michael Myers is in that house, and if you know there's a mob setting up, why not contact Tommy and let him know Michael Myers is here? Burn the fucking house
But that's
down.
what they've been trying to tell him. They've been trying to say that he's going to go to the house. Like Laurie is like he's going to come here, and everybody else is saying he's going to go to the house because that's what he did in the first fucking movie. But like Lonnie had this thing. I love the flashback scene with Lonnie as well.
Yeah.
Like they had the little kid who like looked relatively like Lonnie from the first movie, and like when he falls to the ground or whatever like that, when we get the sting, we get the like dilly again. Like we just see him like kind of approaching or whatever.
And
But that's
Michael
outside.
just bulldogs at him.
But it's outside the Myers house, you know. And it was the thing in the first movie when we see Lonnie again that night. He's being dared to go into the Myers house, and he never does. And he says it. He's like I never went in. Like we all always dared each other to go in, and I never could get myself to go in.
Yeah.
And he went in.
And
kind of died immediately.
Yeah,
There's a
he
gunshot
did.
straight away.
He gets stuffed into the attic.
Like between
And-
the door and the frame.
Yeah, like his face is like smushed
But there's a
in.
foot. There's like a foot up here, so I
Yeah.
feel like he got like folded in half, like
Yeah.
just
And
crushed
just like
up into it.
pushed up into the attic like
Yeah.
last year's Christmas decorations.
And then them gay fellas, love the gay fellas. They did what
they're-
I would do with the house was like inside decorate all you want. The outside must remain the same because it still looks exactly like the Myers house.
Yeah. Of course updated. I do think that the way Cameron dies is excellent.
Oh, it's
I
so
loved
brutal.
it. I love the fact that every time when he got pushed through the banisters
Yeah.
of the stairs, where he's like pulled to one side, then the other, up and down,
Yeah.
until essentially his airways and his neck is like so
Just
crushed
smashed.
in that he's like literally like
He's
drooling.
alive, but he's kind of like he can't move.
Yeah, and then when Michael comes down the stairs, he looks at him and is like, okay, I'm going to
breaks the
finish you
neck.
off, and just like he twists his head like 360, isn't
I
it?
thought he was gonna cut it off. There was a
Nah.
couple. No, I thought he was gonna like pull it off or something like that because I was like, Cameron was fucked up. But again, I don't know why. I like the idea that Cameron was like,
Oh, and she breaks her leg down the stairs. Oh, I
no,
looked
she
at
doesn't
that
break
and
her
I
leg.
was like,
She breaks her thigh.
Ooh.
Her thigh bone breaks. It's so good. Also, Allison again. Andy Matichek. Yeah, that's her. Again, very, very good in this movie. Even though she gets less to do in this movie, I liked her more in this movie than I did in the last one. Because they kind of set her up to be like the new Laura in the last movie. But in this, she's exactly the opposite of Laurie. She's like, I'm going to run towards this. Like, I'd rather like take this head on and hunt him down versus like spend the... Because she saw what that did to Laurie, you know? But she goes in, and I do like straight away that when Cameron gets like stabbed in the gut at first.
Oh, she
goes
out
out.
Shotgun.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes in horror movies it's like, oh my god, you stupid bitch! Like, why would you do that? But like, she just didn't actually get the chance to shoot Michael. Like, Michael like slams it out of the way, but then she drops the gun and immediately starts just like going ham,
digging into his stomach.
So she's like really trying. And then this was one of the scenes that was in the trailers where she gets to the bottom of the stairs. Also very like Laurie in the first movie, like fell down the stairs. But there's a scene where she's like, "Do it," and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? But they don't show in the trailer that she's talking to Judy Greer, my favorite cheese, Judy Greer. I love Judy Greer. I don't care. Like, I'm happy she's in these movies. But Judy Greer comes with a pitchfork and drives it in. Only kind of like this much.
I know, but still, it's looking at it going like, he's down.
Yeah.
Fuck him up now.
It's her gotcha moment in this movie, which I loved in the last movie. Can I just
say, I love the fact that she immediately takes the mask off, which is like, in my opinion, she knows that the mask is sort of his power. Because that's what got him to... anonymity.
Yeah, exactly.
And when she pulls it up and she draws him outside, after stabbing him in the spine, draws him outside and he's like, look what I got. Yeah. Baiting him out onto the streets to... Because I knew, I like, when she passed the door frame, I imagined, like, fucking...
Tommy
Laurie like standing there with a shotgun ready to shoot him in the face. Do you know what I mean? But it didn't happen, and then I knew this is it, because I knew when the mob was showing up, I knew this is where the penultimate scene is. I guessed what was going to happen before it happened
in the Myers house as well. Cool.
The thing. So like, I knew she was going to corner him with everyone there. And she fucked him up. I would have literally got a lighter and burned that fucking thing in front of him.
But that's so
set
boring.
Him into a rage. I know it is, but like, that's what I would have done. Or I would have never entered the house and fucking set that shit on fire with him inside.
But her daughter's also in there. There's three people that they think are alive are still in there though. They can't do shit like that.
It's just.
But I think my theory is that like, this is not actually how everything kind of went down, because the last kind of 8 or so minutes of this movie feel kind of dreamlike, because I don't actually think Karen is dead, because the way it was edited, I don't know, because the way it was edited, it seemed kind of like odd. He also just materialized behind her. You know what I mean? Like, she checked that room.
Yeah, he just literally steps out from behind her. Not like he's not standing in the doorway or anything. He just steps out from behind her.
And this is what I thought was going to be our Jamie Lloyd Halloween 4 killed her stepmother kind of ending. Or not her stepmother, like the adoptive mother kind of thing. Because she walks up.
Loomis stand at the end of the stairs.
No! Jamie! Yeah. But Loomis also becomes like a fucking... He is so scary in those last couple of movies. Yeah. I'm like, get the fuck away from me, bro. Yeah. Also, Michael is probably following you. Why are you everywhere that he is, bro? But
you kids, get away from that house.
Get your ass away from that. But I thought this was going to be that moment, because Karen goes up to Judith Meyer's bedroom. It's his sister's bedroom, not his room. Looks at the window at herself. So I was like, are they like setting something up here? Like what's like?
Spoiler alert: she dies.
We think though.
What do you mean we think? We literally see her get stabbed multiple times.
She is
actually dead.
You just lied, because we don't actually ever get to see her get stabbed. We see Michael do the Judith Meyer thing and like see the knife come down and her kind of do this, but we don't ever get to see anything go in. No, we don't ever get to see anything go in. She's the last frame of this movie. I don't think she's dead. Or I don't think that this ending went exactly the way that they showed us. You know what I mean? Because Michael...
I do know that there's scenes of Laurie in the hospital where she's fully clothed again. And
yeah, because we've seen her walk down a hallway or whatever.
Or like re-entering a hallway,
Yeah.
and she is holding the knife.
Yeah.
So that is apparently part of this ending.
Yeah.
So like people were saying, I think you even just said it earlier about the extended cut of this film.
Yeah, I
where
heard there's an
most of the
alternate
shit would
ending
be,
or an extended
alternate
ending.
Yeah.
And then I think, because I don't actually know if they've shot. They haven't shot
Yeah,
Halloween
I
Ends
haven't
yet,
heard
but
any
I
news
think
of that
I
yet.
think there's footage, at least because there's footage on the editing room floor,
Which
from
they
at
will
least this
probably
movie.
use for the next film.
Yeah, but like I can't wait for Halloween Ends to come out and be out so that we can, like, somebody can edit these 3 movies together. Because I honestly think you'll enjoy this movie a lot more if it is the second act of a long movie.
Which is what you said to me the other time when we were talking about this film, was the fact that you didn't like the 2018 version until later, much later.
Yeah.
Which I'm thinking I will probably end up be doing with this film.
Yeah.
For example. So I do think that I do think you're right. I do.
Thank you.
Finally, after an hour and a half of fucking argument, I do think you're right. I think if I was to view this, like, I think someone said it as like, if I could just pull out this DVD and put in the next one and keep going,
Yeah.
then I would be happy. But I think it's because, again, it's a middle chapter to this trilogy. I do think
The second
I'm
act
just
is nearly
left
always
wanting.
the kind of...
I'm left wanting.
Yeah, the second act is always the most kind of play, or like boring. Not boring,
Yeah.
but it's always the one that's kind of the least
Interesting.
Yeah, you know, it's like the middle
It's
of a movie
weak
is
on
never
the plot because it's only a developmental part, and
Yeah.
that's where I think this film failed, was it didn't develop enough.
But see,
to get
again,
to that,
I went
you know?
I went into this with opposite expectations where, like, I went into this wanting kills and nothing more.
Yeah.
You know, like, I wanted some gore, I wanted some scary fucking Michael shit.
Which we
And-
got and delighted
Yeah,
about.
and they delivered. So I'm just... Have you seen the poster for the next movie?
No, and I don't want to.
Oh,
I will literally
so
watch. I'll do
good.
the same. I'll literally watch the first trailer and then that's it. I don't want anything else.
It's so good.
I will say this: Jamie Lee Curtis did have an interview with Vanity Fair magazine.
Yeah,
and basically,
I've loved all of her and Judy Greer's interviews throughout the last month or so. She's so funny.
she spoke on Halloween Ends, and I quote: "She says it's going to make people angry, shocking, and will make people ask a lot of questions." Now, what I take away from it is, I'm happy to be angry, I'm happy to be shocked, and I'm happy to have questions.
I don't want a
But
happy ending.
I'm not happy to be bored, and this film to me was boring.
Shut your fucking mouth.
It
Shut
just
the
was.
fuck
It just
up.
was. You know,
No.
they almost fucking had the cunt. They almost had him, and yet they did. We talked about it.
Okay, would you be
We
happy if
talked
they
about
killed
it.
him in this movie and then had a whole other
I would
third
have
movie
been
without
happy if
him in
they
it?
had left it with the previous film, but they didn't.
No,
So like,
I wouldn't though, because he was alive at the end of that movie, confirmed. He was breathing at the end of that last movie.
so like,
We heard it over the credits.
I guess we'll agree to disagree. But yeah, I really think, as I said, I'm happy to be angry, shocked, and questions, but I'm not happy to be bored. And this plot of a film was boring.
Well, again, like we literally just said, like the second act of a movie is always really boring.
I know,
And, like,
I know,
it's-
but it shouldn't have to be,
I
and
kind
it
of-
shouldn't be approached that way.
No, I know, but that's just kind of the ebb and flow of storytelling. It's like
Yeah.
you can't always be at a high. You know what I mean? Like that's why,
You
like,
have to have.
like the opening of a movie is nearly always the best, and the ending is nearly always the best. It's all the kind of shit in the middle that's very like blah blah blah. Like I
Yeah.
can blah 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 blah.
Blah 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 bullshit. Yeah.
But like again, it's like
Very
again
apt.
to bring it back to Scream, no joke. Like the first 15 minutes of that movie is the most intense and
God,
best
could we
part of
not
that.
suck off the dick of Ghostface, please?
No,
I just think
also
there was
these
no
two movies are
resolution to really a lot of things, and it just was
but it's not the
disappointing.
end.
I
We're
know,
not supposed to have
I
it
know,
resolved
but
in
I'd
the
like to
second
think,
movie.
Like again, it's obviously like the second movie, so it's a cliffhanger and things like that. But
First
I just
movie,
think there
like
should
the
have
last
been a
movie, also didn't
resolution.
resolve shit because they never showed Michael dying. You know, that was also left on a cliffhanger. It's just these two movies to me, like as a whole, I've enjoyed, but now I'm nervous for Halloween Ends because I'm like, okay,
Can you imagine
You've
now
done
in
the
a year's
full show.
time when we do a review, like I could have a complete 360-degree turn of view, and maybe you're on the other end of the spectrum
I
saying
think-
you didn't like it.
I think next year we should have a Halloween-a-thon and do 78, 18 kills ends. and just have them in one night and kind of watch them all as one
I'm down
film.
for that. Let us know what you think.
Because I kind of find it hard to split these movies because they pick up literally seconds after. At the very, very start of this movie, Cameron is trying to call Oscar. He didn't even know he's dead yet. You know? And then I remember being like, okay, none of these people in the town know what's happening yet.
Yeah, because
everything's happening kind of in the
real
outskirts.
time. Yeah,
exactly. And I really enjoy that.
Everyone's in the dark.
And a lot of people get fucked up in this movie. A lot of people are now Michael survivors because we get a lot of people being rushed to the hospital with slashes and all this kind of stuff, you know? So,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm curious to see, can they stick the landing? Because
doubt it.
I don't know.
This is the same problem I had with Game of Thrones with Cersei. When you kill off a huge villain like that, you literally write yourselves into a corner where you're like, we literally don't know how to give a satisfying ending.
What should have happened for me at the end was when Daenerys gets to the Red Keep or whatever like that and approaches, I think, sorry, this is now a Game of Thrones podcast, but just for 2 minutes, I think Cersei should have suicide bombed herself with wildfire, tried to blow up all that shit, tried to blow up herself and Dany, only to find out that wildfire also doesn't work on dragons or Daenerys. Because I thought that would have been cool, because it was ruthless versus everything just collapsing in on them. Yeah, it was so boring.
It was that, but that's exactly what it is. The same problem that they're most likely going to run into with this next film. I know Jamie Lee Curtis probably already has the script and things like that, which is why she's saying things like that.
I want Laurie dead.
But I do think whatever ending does happen, if Michael Myers does die, it needs to be with a proper finality to it. You know what I mean? You can't write yourself such a huge character as it's the same thing with Freddy, same thing with Jason. You just gotta keep bringing them back, and I guarantee you,
it's how you keep the rights. The accounts know what they're doing.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I think
there will be a Halloween Returns.
No, I actually think after this Halloween ends, I think next time we see Michael, it'll be a different timeline or something else. I think that this trilogy, again, because it's written as a trilogy, I think it'll wrap itself up, and I think anything else is just going to be another remake or a show or something else. I don't think it'll be connected to this, you know? This to me should be the end of the Strode timeline, you know? Yeah. David Gordon Green, if you're listening, which I know you are.
Hair flip. Yeah. Audible eye roll.
Just figure it out. Oh my god, do you want to hear me smile though?
Ew! Oh my god! I literally shivered.
I know, right? It's gross. But just don't let me down.
Sorry,
I'm just already rolling a smoke at the door.
So we're just gonna wrap it up, I guess, because we need to fuck off. I need to get to work. But yeah, so next week we have our topic discussion month, and we're not going to give you a choice this month. We are going to do our origin story. Which there is so much to talk about. You have no fucking clue. You have no idea what's coming down, and we have some big announcements next week. So tune in, turn out, drop off, drop in, switch off, switch on, and explode. That was a Beatles reference. So yeah, absolutely love it. So of course, like, subscribe, comment below. Make sure to follow us on our Instagram for some daily updated content.
And let us know if you guys liked this or even saw it.
Yeah. And so you've been listening to They're Here podcast.
Bitch.
Evil dies tonight.
I guess.
Sure it fucking does.
Okay, guys. Unpleasant dreams.
And
happy Halloween.
And happy Halloween. Stop appropriating Irish culture.